And once again, welcome back adventurers to Let's Play Steins. In the last episode, Rintaro gave us the grand tour of the Future Gadget Laboratory and introduced us to Future Gadget number 8, the yet to be renamed Phone Wave, which, apart from being a cell phone remote controlled microwave, has two rather interesting functions. First of which is the ability to refreeze frozen tender chicken, and the other is by somehow turning commonplace household bananas into rather unsavory gelatinous life forms, the cause of either of which has yet to be determined or even explained. I should also mention briefly that as of this moment, Steins Gate 0 has finally received a public Steam release, and I have made it my mission to obtain a copy, of which I now have installed and ready to go. So I will be doing a Let's Play of Steins Gate 0 the moment I finish Let's Playing the original classic Steins Gate, which I should really get ahead with right now. In any event, Rintaro and Daru are headed to Daibiru, because there is going to be a seminar at ATF, and they both have to be there because it's part of their studies at Tokyo Denki University. Because, believe it or not, they are in fact both university students, if you didn't already tell from the previous episodes. Also, I won't be reading out, I will either be skimming most of this dialogue or just flat out ignoring it altogether as I try and find some more interesting commentary, because as I believe I mentioned or have yet to mention, visual novel games aren't entirely the best Let's Play material, but Steins Gate definitely is one of the better ones. That's just in my opinion. Summer credits, basically. We have to attend the seminar and write a report. And Rintaro has rather absent-minded and forgotten about what the seminar was to begin with. Yes, you should have indeed written it down. And the news is still going on about the crashed satellite in the Radicon building, or the radio building in the Funimation dub. And yes, it is Akihabara. I can finally pronounce it. I don't know why I kept getting that wrong, but that's not really surprising given the fact that the object in question could represent a public safety hazard if it ever happens to fall out of the building in which it is currently embedded, and anyone who happens to be idiotically standing beneath it. Well, enough said on that. And Rintaro notices even more people, in addition to the crowd that is in front of us, moving about this overpass. Don't normally see this many people, the kinds of people that Rintaro is describing anyway. And of course the main street is still cordoned off by police tape, as we heard from the news reporter.
ラジカンに見物に行かないのか？どうせ行っても見られないっしょ。もちろんネットに上がってくる情報にはほぼ目を通してるのだぜ。アットちゃんのスレ数100超えたし、勢いすげえ。
And people are already talking about the incident on social media, which is also unsurprising. That's why he was staring at his phone earlier. Speaking of phones, we've got mail from Mayuri. Apparently it's about her missing Upa, and she's still rather sad about it. It's worse than last year when she missed buying Fatty Goro Froggy, which I assume is the frog mascot that Rintaro briefly mentioned was the craze before Upas came along. Now we can actually reply to both of these keywords, which are highlighted in blue text. If we reply to the Upa text, I feel your pain. That thing was worth a fortune. Our press researched the funds. ORZ. I am not familiar with social media vernacular, or at least that one in particular, and if we reply to Gero Froggy, that's the one from last year, right? I thought you weren't interested. Now, I'm going to mention this now, but the replying to 5 of certain emails that I won't spoil as yet, 5 of these emails are actually, depending on which ones you reply to, are actually critical for getting 5 of the 6 true ending flags. These ones don't really, well, this replying to the Upa one will actually get an achievement, which I've already acquired off-screen, one of the many that I've acquired off-screen while playing this casually in order to see what it was all about. But some of these are basically don't really do anything, even though they're just there for character building, I guess. But there are 5 of them that are very important, and if you don't reply to any of them, you'll get a completely different ending. If you get 5 of the, or less than 6 of the true ending flags, you will get another different ending. And if you have all 6 true ending flags by you get to a certain point towards the game's finale, you will get the true ending, which is what I'm going for. So we're going to send a reply to the Upa key phrase. So at some point we should receive a reply from Mayuri at some point. Now we're in the ATF building on our way to the 5th floor and the assembly hall.
Ah, 涼しい。生き返るぜ。あばばばばばばばばばばば。
Daru is overjoyed at the fact that there is air conditioning in this building, which is, as the Rintaro also mentioned, is not available in the Future Gadget Lab. Another reason for their diligent participation in the seminar.
電話レンジ過去仮の件だが、俺は答えを導き出したかもしれん。
And Rintaro appears to have some theory about the phone wave TBA.
そのカッコ借りってめんどいからいい加減やめるべき。
And I have to agree with Daru, which is why I'm not saying name subject to change, I'm just referring to the Funimation dub, which is TBA. But Rintaro will carry on using it until the day they actually do decide to come up with an alternate name.
そんなことは今はどうでもいい。
お得意のとんでも理論でもひらめいちゃったん？
何を言うか。俺はいつもこの世の神羅万象すら超越したあらゆる可能性について思考を巡らせているのだ。とんでもとか言うな。
And Rintaro is going on his Hoin Kiyoma insane mad scientist rant.
神羅万象を超越ってつまり何でもありってことじゃね？
And
理論っ
Daru
てレベルじゃねえぞ。
is being his usual skeptical self. I gotta stop interrupting them when they're talking.
ダルよ。電話レンジ過去仮はシュタインズゲートを開く鍵だという気がするのだが、どうだ？
So Rintaro seems to think that the phone wave TBA might actually be the key to opening Steins Gate. We actually received a somewhat vague mention of what Steins Gate might be, as in fate, the will of God or whatever, but we don't actually know what Steins Gate is just yet.
そのシュタインなんとかってところからして意味不明なわけだが。
And Daru seems to have no clue about what Steins Gate is whatsoever. Why am I not surprised? Anyway, that chime signifies that we are on the 5th floor. And the elevator doors are opening, and as they step out of the elevator, they bump into someone. And Rintaro is trying to be a gentleman and stop that person from falling over because he did bump into them. Well, this is certainly an unexpected turn of events. We know this person. We saw this person 3 hours ago. in the Radaikun building just after Dr. Nakabashi's lecture. And then 10 minutes after that, we saw this person lying in a pool of their own blood at the end of the corridor, where the crashed satellite is currently embedded in. Something doesn't add up. Not at all. And Rintaro is just as shocked as we are, or we should be. That is the very word there. Preaching the choir on that one, Rintaro. And there is the gruesome flashback. Makase Kurisu. The woman who should actually technically be deceased at this point. But then come to think of it, the officer that we ran into on the street said that nobody was stabbed, which doesn't correspond with the events that have just transpired.
何か
And Rintaro is still grasping her shoulder in numb disbelief, as she frowns and tries to back away. I suppose that anyone who encountered what we have would be in complete and total shock at seeing said person, flesh and blood, standing before us. Either she has a twin sister, or something truly existentially weird is going on. And you probably might want to regain your senses and let go there, Rintaro.
貴様は死んだはずだ。なぜここに
But to no avail. Of course, that's not entirely an irrelevant question here.
しかも
There isn't a single blood stain on her clothes, and they're the same ones she was wearing when we found her. That is very true, and since there's no obvious sign of blood, could it be that there is no... But that wouldn't make any sense. There's no stab wound if no one was stabbed. And now Kurisu is getting understandably angry and pushes Rintaro away and gives him a wary glare. But I'm not entirely unsympathetic with Rintaro at this point, given what's just happened.
怪我は平気なのか。いやそんなはずはない。マキセクリスは何者かに刺されて血まみれで。
As much as crazed lunatic as Rintaro might seem right now, he's actually telling the truth so far in the... well, whatever the truth is. Daru, however, seems to have a different opinion altogether.
またその話とはどういう意味だ
Rintaro's just realized that fact.
だって1週間前にも僕にそんなメール送ってきたじゃん。
A week ago? Well, that can't be right.
メール俺が何をバカなマキセ・クリスが殺されているのを見たのはほんの3時間前だぞ
Oh, you did send an email to Daru after discovering her murder, Rintaro. And then, we all saw what happened. We all saw the strange phenomenon in which all the people on the street of outside of Radaikan completely vanished, except for Mayuri, of all people.
ちょっと勝手に殺さないでくれますか。私ピンピンしてますんで。
So apparently Rintaro's recollection of events and everyone else's recollections of events seem to be at loggerheads at this point.
そういえばあのメール変な感じだったな。送信日時が1週間後になってた。つまり未来から来たっつうか。
Dated a week after you got it, Daru. Well, it's the 28th now, which means if what you're saying is correct, then you got that on the 21st, which is kind of odd. There must be a glitch with the phone or something.
未来から来た。
ネットで妙な考察サイトでも見たのかダル。お前がとんでも理論を言い出すとは珍しい。
It's somehow Kurisu seems to be rather interested now in this turn of events, given Rintaro's outburst there, I
違
suppose.
うがな。確かにメールの日付は1週間後の28。あ、そっか。28日だから今日じゃん。
That is truly bizarre indeed. We've had a lot of strange phenomenons, or phenomena, not phenomenons. And as we just realized, Ocarine did send this text. And as we can see, Daru is not lying. Received July 21st, 12:56. Sent July 28th, 12:54. 2 minutes. Even though, according to Daru, this text was sent a week ago, even though we saw Makase Kurisu's murder 3 hours ago. So something truly bizarre is definitely happening here. And Rintaro is already stating what I've just pointed out again. And for some reason it's been split up into 3 parts. Someone stabbed Makase Kurisu. According to my memory of the rest of the message, don't know who, looked pretty bad. And I can't remember what the last part of the message was, and it appears to have vanished into thin air for some reason.
これは3時間前に誰に送ったメールだ。
Truly ominous indeed.
興味深いわね。
Kurisu seems to be rather intrigued as well. Of course, Rintaro puts the matter of the email aside in favor of the reality of the fact that she is actually still among the living. And now he's going back into full-fledged panic mode. You don't believe in such unscientific drivel, and yet you've actually pointed all those out as possibilities. Now he's going to once again see if she is actually corporeal or not, which he should already have known about, given that A, he bumped into her, and B, grabbed a hold of her shoulder just outside the elevator. But Rintaro, being Rintaro, has a tendency to take things too far. First by grabbing her hair, which is quite red, by the way, for those of you who obviously have eyes to see.
やはり幽霊だというのは考えすぎか。
She's not a ghost, phantom, or spectre in any way, shape, or form. And now she is understandably visibly upset.
オカリン、まずくね？
I think that might be a little bit too late there, Daru. And I think Rintaro's only gonna start making things worse. And of course he does, by poking Kurisu's face. When she's right there.
Oi.
And Rintaro has just finally come around to what he should have realized just a moment ago. Then again, he is probably still in a bit of shock. That's definitely true. Moments before he found her body, Rintaro did hear a scream. A man's scream, no less. That would have to be pretty vivid hallucinations, given the extent of realism. She could very well be hiding her wound and have a bandage over it. The sensible thing would actually be to take a step back and ask her directly, "Do you have a stab wound?" Yes, indeed it requires further investigation by actually talking with her face to face. Or not. Instead, Rintaro is actually going to physically examine it himself without Kurisu's permission.
己は警察に突き出されたいのか?
Which is only going to make things even more complicated and worse.
真実を知りたいだけだ。
I believe that is a very poor decision there,
何が真
Rintaro.
実よ、この変態！バカなの？死ぬの？
And then Kurisu proceeds to give a rather strange angry outburst.
ルイスちゃんの名台詞、来たこれ。
Louis Chan's famous line for the win. I don't know what she said could possibly be a reference to, and I actually do not care to find out. Daru shouts something silly, but Rintaro ignores him and presses Kurisu.
俺は確かに見たのだ。
まさかあんた、今、私の下着を。
And now Kurisu is the one with the wrong impression. Not that I entirely blame her in this situation.
この手の目が、そうではない。
But Rintaro is adamant. Earlier this afternoon, after Dr. Nakabashi's presentation, someone killed Makase Kurisu and left her in a pool of blood. Finally, Rintaro is actually doing what he should have done 5 minutes ago, instead of causing this consternation.
ドクター、中バッチ。
Well, you did appear to be his colleague of sorts.
オカリン何言ってるん？中鉢の発表会なら中止になったじゃん。
Now things are starting to get even more strange. Nakabashi's presentation was cancelled.
そう、人工衛星の墜落で。
Come to think of it, we still don't know how and why the satellite is now stuck in the Radicon building to begin with, because as we saw moments ago, it was sitting on top of it rather than in it. And just like with Mayuri, Rintaro's versions of events are not matching up with anyone else's. Could it all be in his head? Or could something truly sinister be happening? Is this another organization conspiracy?
ねえちょっとあなた
我が名は法院京馬だ
And Rintaro blurts out his name of Hoin Kyoma Pure in sheer panic.
違うよ全然違うよ
Daru is not amused in the slightest.
おーいんさん今の話詳しく教えてほしいんですが
Well, at least Kurisu seems to now finally take his story seriously. Of course, we still don't understand what circumstances have caused this strange time lapse, or if indeed that's all it is. Just then, an older man steps out of the assembly hall.
マキセさん、そろそろ時間ですし、始めましょう。
はい
Well, I suppose that the lecture is about to start, so we should probably be seated.
オカリンとりあえず僕らも行こうぜ
And Daru seems to be
行くとはど
thinking
うい
the
う
same thing.
講義を聞きに来たんだろ
Completely forgot about that, didn't you, Rintaro? In the heat of the moment. We should probably follow Daru. Yes, it is a rather strange coincidence that Makase Kurisu would actually be here in the same lecture as us, given what happened. Although maybe she's interested in hearing what's actually going to be said at the lecture as much as we are, given what that is. Or maybe not. Maybe she has something else to do. She didn't come to attend the lecture. Maybe she came to attend another lecture. Or maybe she was going to the elevator.
今日は私のような若輩者の話を聞きに来てくださってありがとう
Or maybe she's the one who is actually going to be doing the presentation of the lecture.
講義をする方だったのか
It's just what I said, Rintaro. And Rintaro is giving us the overview of how Makase's thesis was published when she was 17. All the stuff that we actually learned about moments ago in Nakabashi's lecture, which now surprisingly apparently never happened. Well, you did, Daru did show you the article in the magazine.
ガチガチなのは多めに見てくださいどうぞよろしく
Apparently, this is actually her first guest lecture. The audience is pretty mixed, although memory serves, this is a far greater audience applause than Dr. Nakabachi received. It's mostly students like Rintaro and Daru, but there are also a couple of professors as well, which is not really surprising. And Kurisu once again glares at Rintaro. I'm not even going to justify this question with a response. And Kurisu's own reaction to Rintaro's gaze is also understandable. And Rintaro is now in his own unique world.
今回タイムマシーンをテーマに話してほしいと言われまして正直専門外なのですが頑張って話してみようと思います
And apparently she's going to be lecturing us on the subject of time travel. The same lecture, rather similar to that of Nakabachi. But I'm going to end the episode here for the time being, as I believe that her lecture is going to be rather lengthy and will cover a lot of rather obscure topics. So, when we return, adventurers, we shall listen to what Makase Kurisu has to say about the subject of time travel. As always, adventurers, until next we meet.